Okay, good morning everyone. Thanks for attending our webinar. This is the Trimble Positions webinar. We're going to talk about the entire software suite that comprises Trimble Positions, in addition to the ArcPad workflow, the ArcGIS mobile workflow, and what would take place if you're using ArcGIS 10 or 10.1. So before we get into the meat of the subject, there's a little bit about our company. Electronic Data Solutions has been specializing in mobile computing and field data collection for over 25 years. We do offer a wide variety of hardware and software solutions. Everything that we sell and support comes with technical support, training, and repair services. So we're basically a one-stop shop for those people who do business with us. Our home office is in Jerome, Idaho, which is in south central Idaho, about 100 miles east of Boise. And we currently have 25 employees located in 8 different field offices in 6 different western states. And so you can see a little map of where our current locations are. So this overview is really for people who aren't really totally aware of who we are and what we do, so we just have a couple of more slides here. We have several different revenue centers. We have formal distribution agreements with GPS GIS companies, water resource companies, and field data collection software companies. We offer support, repair services, and training. We do have 3 Trimble certified trainers and Esri certified trainers in our company, and I'm one of those folks. We offer equipment rentals, which are becoming quite popular this time of year as the field season goes into full swing. So everything that we sell, you can also rent as well. And we also offer custom software based on ArcPad platforms and even customized data dictionaries based on TerraSync Data Dictionary Editor. We have our own software products as well. The owner of our company, David Dean, created a program called Data Plus, which is an application generator software. You can actually create a field application on your Windows PC and then test it there before you send it to your mobile device. We have log scaling, vegetation survey software, even Hydro Plus, which is an extension for ArcPad, which allows folks to collect data from up to 12 individual sensors for water quality, dissolved oxygen, and other water issues. And we also have Sentinel GIS, which is really our mosquito control, mosquito abatement program. So finally, we're proud to represent these industry leaders. We've been a Trimble GPS and mapping dealer for 25 years. We have also gotten involved deeply with Trimble's individual divisions. One of them is Trimble Utility Field Solutions, which specializes in producing mobile and office software for utility inspections and maintenance. We have a Trimble Forestry program called Solo Field and Solo CE. We've also got some products in the Trimble Environmental Division. We've been an Esri business partner and developer for over 15 years. We offer laser technology rangefinders, Ricoh digital cameras that have built-in GPS and digital compasses. We also now offer a new line of tablet PCs which compete directly with the Panasonic Toughbook called the Mobile Demand Tablet PC, and that product is available in about 15 different configurations depending on your needs. And then finally, we offer a wider range of other and GPS systems called Juniper systems, which are the most rugged field computers in the industry. So thank you for that indulgence here. Now let's get right into Trimble Positions. There are 3 really new Trimble Positions extensions for various Esri software programs. The first one is the Trimble Positions ArcPad extension. So for those of you that have been using Trimble GPS Correct and GPS Analyst, this program called the Trimble Positions ArcPad extension directly replaces GPS Correct. It's designed to be used with off-the-shelf ArcPad 10, which many of you are already familiar with, and it also allows you to then begin using ArcGIS 10.1. So many of you remember last user conference when Esri announced the release of ArcGIS 10.1. There were quite a few months that went by before Trimble came up with a compatible extension for both ArcPad and for ArcGIS in order to allow folks to continue to differentially correct their field data. And that's when Trimble Positions was being developed. And so finally, a few months ago, Positions was announced. And the reason that you would get involved in Positions at all is because you would have made the final decision to go from ArcGIS 10 to 10.1. And if you're one of those users who does intend on continuing to collect satellite data in the field in order to post-process back in the office, then Positions is what you're going to be migrating to. So not too long ago, Trimble released the Trimble Juno 5 and the Trimble GeoExplorer 5 series receiver. And neither of those was compatible with GPS Correct. So once again, Trimble Positions is supported in those two units. The second extension, which is important to take note of, is the Trimble Positions extension for ArcGIS Mobile. And ArcGIS Mobile used to work only with ArcGIS Server, but now it works with ArcGIS 10.1 Desktop. So if you want to use ArcGIS Mobile in the field, which is a much simpler field data collection software to use than ArcPad, there's a Trimble Positions extension for that product as well, and the data can be brought directly into a geodatabase and then post-processed there. And then finally, there's the Office version of this whole system called the Trimble Positions Desktop Add-in. And I know this is a bit much, but this replaces directly GPS Analyst. So this Positions Desktop Add-in supports ArcPad 10, it supports ArcGIS Mobile, and it also supports any geodatabase you wish, the personal geodatabase, the file geodatabase, and even the enterprise geodatabase. Along with this desktop add-in comes with an extension for the new Esri Mobile Project Center. And this Project Center comes with ArcGIS 10.1, so it's an Esri program, but there's also a Trimble Positions extension for that as well. So all of these programs work together to promote simple data management, smooth data flow, and still supports the high accuracy Trimble results that you're used to getting. So the streamlined workflow makes it very simple. It just means you have a fully integrated data management process, and it works with all of the Esri field software in addition to ArcGIS 10.1, of course. So here's a little chart of the Trimble Positions workflow. You've got your geodatabase of any design in the middle. Over on the left-hand side, in this particular case, you've got the Trimble Positions Desktop Add-in, which once again does replace GPS Analyst. It allows you to differentially correct your data and then verify the accuracy of results. And then the Esri Mobile Project Center allows you to configure exactly how you want the field people to use their field software, what kind of controls you want to put on accuracy requirements, if any, and exactly what layers and fields you check out to the field device. Over on the right-hand side of the slide, you see that we have Esri, ArcGIS Mobile, and ArcPad. And so there is a Trimble Positions extension for each one of these Esri programs. They both allow you to connect to the internal receiver, of course. They allow you to control the specific geometries of each feature, and that simply means that you can apply an accuracy requirement or a standard. And it also now collects metadata and allows you to preserve some of that GNSS metadata when you check it back into your geodatabase. So here's a polling question for everyone. This first polling question, and you can just take a few moments and answer it, is what GPS device do you currently use to collect field data? And so I'm going to launch that poll, which should show up on your screen in just a few moments. So if you don't mind, just take a few moments, take a look at that, and make those selections. Okay, we've got about 86% of everyone voted. Let me close this and I can share this poll with you. Looks like about 17% used the Juno series, And it would be interesting to find out when we do the questions and answers at the end of this webinar how many of those using a Juno are actually using GPS Correct along with ArcPad or ArcGIS Mobile. For those of you using a Geo, the 2005 through the 3000 series, and the Geo 6000, it makes a lot of sense to use GPS Correct with ArcPad simply because that's how you get the most value and the best accuracy out of your unit. And it looks like a couple of you are using the Yuma or another device. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. Let me hide this and we'll go on to the next slide. So in short, here are your two distinct choices. You can use either ArcPad, as many of you may be using currently, or you can migrate to ArcGIS Mobile, which is, by the way, obtained directly from Esri. And in either case, you have configuration tools that Trimble Positions provide you. You've got easy-to-use data collection tools, which collect enough information from the satellites so that you can post-process. Once you're done collecting your data, you can synchronize that back with your geodatabase. And then once it's in your geodatabase, naturally, you can apply those very important spatial corrections called post-processing or differential corrections. So Trimble Positions now provides the same functionality regardless of which Esri field software you decide to use. So let's walk through a couple of different processes here. This is the workflow for ArcGIS Mobile. In your computer, using the Project Center, you would configure this ArcGIS experience for all of your field users. And what I mean by that, you can put certain controls on accuracy requirements. You can put certain controls on how many positions they need to collect. You really can control the collection of data, in short. You can also, as I say, configure those accuracy thresholds. Some people don't want to use this feature. This feature is actually optional, but it is seemingly more important as time moves forward that GIS managers and GIS analysts like to know what is the quality of the data being brought in to the geodatabase. And if that is really a concern, then you can actually put controls on that to make sure you're getting the accuracy that your instrument can produce. And then finally, of course, this Project Center creates a package for deployment, and that simply means you're going to put your data in a folder and you're going to send that data to all the field devices that are concerned with that project. So very similar, many of you may be familiar with the ArcPad workflow. It's very similar to using GPS Correct and GPS Analyst. With the Trimble Positions desktop add-in, you're going to configure an AXF project, and you're going to be sending that data directly out to your mobile device from your geodatabase. And just to clarify, you can still use the personal geodatabase, but you can now use the file geodatabase or the enterprise geodatabase, which removes all of those older restrictions that we've had to live with for many years with GPS Analyst. So with the Trimble Positions desktop add-in, you can even configure a quick project. And you may remember, this is an important point, because you may remember with Analyst, you could collect data in the field, and you could only check in data that was collected, edited, or deleted that came from your original checked out data set. In other words, if the user decided to create a shapefile using a quick project, that data could not be checked in. Now, it could certainly be manually added to your geodatabase manually, but it would not be automatically checked in. Well, now you can actually create this option for your field users so that when they do create a quick project, that data can now be checked into the geodatabase easily. So it does really make it easier for the for the office personnel in this particular case. And like the other software, ArcGIS Mobile, you can define those accuracy tolerances as well, and you can require that your features come into under a meter or under 2 meters or whatever your requirements happen to be. So very similar with the ArcGIS Mobile. Now we're going to go out in the field and collect data. And obviously, Trimble Positions allows you to connect to the receiver. And by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet, but GNSS is a new acronym which simply stands for a Global Navigation Satellite System. And the reason we're now using that acronym instead of just GPS is because many of the handheld receivers today are collecting data from the GPS satellites, which is the U.S. constellation, but they're also collecting data from the GLONASS satellites, which is the Russian constellation of satellites. So we're able to collect a lot more data from a lot more satellites, and therefore that's the GNSS receiver. You can certainly collect brand new data. You can always update existing feature geometry, which means you can improve the position of a feature that was collected 2 years ago. You can certainly update the attributes as always. You can now use offsets to collect point features that are at hard-to-reach locations. And this is something that Trimble Positions released just recently, where with ArcGIS Mobile you can now do offsets, which is great. You can also use accuracy-based logging, and this is interesting because surveyors have had this in their software for probably 25 years, but for the first time in the last couple of years, mapping software now offers this important feature. And what it means is that you can insist that the field person cannot save or collect that particular feature unless the software knows that it's collected enough raw data so that when the data comes back into the office to be post-processed, it will process to the accuracy requirement. So in short, this software can do a predictive analysis and say, I know that you've been here long enough and collected enough data at this location so that when the data is post-processed, you will get the desired result, which once again could be sub-meter or sub-2 meters, whatever. So that's a feature that you can use or not use, but it is optional for those folks that really want to control the quality of the data going into their GIS. And obviously, if you have a real-time source, and this includes WAS, which is a free satellite correction source, or in the state of Washington or Oregon, or maybe 8 or 10 other states in the country, you can connect to a VRS, which is a virtual reference station. And most people connect to that kind of a real-time correction service via a cell phone or a cell modem. And by doing that, you can get real-time corrections right in the field. Well, since ArcPad or ArcGIS Mobile do not support that directly, by adding Trimble Positions extensions to those Esri programs, you can now take advantage of connecting to those real-time correction services. And naturally, it also collects enough information so that you can post-process. Very similar when you're collecting data with ArcPad in the field. It connects to a receiver. It lets you collect new features or even edit existing features, both spatially and with the attributes. And it also allows you to connect to those real-time sources and post-processing. Okay, synchronization is a new term in a way when you're using ArcGIS Mobile in the field. If you're connected to a real-time source like Wi-Fi or a cellular network, then you're able to synchronize your data. And when you synchronize your data automatically appears back in the geodatabase, back in your server. However, you can also synchronize by plugging your unit directly into a computer, just as we've done for many years, and you can synchronize through a USB cable. So either way, the process of synchronization simply means that you're sending your data right back to the geodatabase, and you can do that wirelessly with ArcGIS Mobile, or you can do that with a cable. Very similar with ArcPad. Most people are going to bring their data back into the office. They're going to connect with a cable. They're going to move that folder containing their AXF file directly back into their computer, and also the quick project import now, which is supported. They can then apply those differential corrections, and it simply makes the data management much, much easier than in the old days. So here's a second polling question for everyone. This question is, how many people in your organization are using GPS Correct with ArcPad? So when that appears on your screen, if you'll take just a couple of moments and make those selections, that would be appreciated. Okay, so a little over half of you have voted. We usually give you about 30 or 40 seconds to answer those questions. Let me close this poll and share it with everyone so you can see where we are. Looks like a great percentage of you, there's only 1 or 2 people using that, about 13%, 2 to 4 people, and even 13% have more than 6 users, so that's fabulous. So let's hide this poll, and then we'll go on to the next slide. So now we're talking, the data's back in the office now, and so now we're going to correct the data, and we're going to verify the accuracy parameters. You can post-process using a predefined profile, and once again, we're now talking about the Trimble Positions desktop add-in, which replaces the old GPS Analyst. And the predefined profile simply means that ahead of time, you may have selected a base station with a certain integrity index, and you can all do that ahead of time. How you'd like the data to be processed, what kind of controls you'd like to put on the differential correction routine. So you simply select that profile, you apply those corrections, and you can now verify the accuracy of each of your features against whatever the requirements were. And once again, that's an optional thing to do, but as I say, more people now are concerned with bringing in high accuracy data, especially if you have put forward the money to purchase a high accuracy receiver. It does make a lot of sense to be able to confirm that you're getting the accuracy that you paid for. You can also inspect the construction of each of those features and individual positions. Now what this means is you're able to actually filter out certain positions if you'd like to change the shape of a line feature or a polygon. And this is the kind of editing you can do either in positions, or certainly you can do this editing using the standard ArcMap editor, like many of you may be doing already, but you are able to do this right in Trimble Positions. And then you can actually edit those geometries. In other words, you can remove positions that you want to get rid of, maybe they're outliers, and you can use GPS statistical data in order to make those decisions. And so all of this would be prior to saving or ending your session with Trimble Positions. So when you're all done collecting and correcting your data, then you simply hit the Update button. And the moment that you hit the Update button, it actually physically moves the features in the ArcMap data frame so that you can see how those corrections were applied. And this has always been true with GPS Analyst as well. But very simply, it allows the features that you collected, the points, the polylines, and the polygons, to be automatically moved to their corrected. There is now some new metadata that is now automatically part of the attribute table, and it does come from Trimble Positions, and some of that metadata is now preserved in the Esri environment. Things like the accuracy values, for instance, and that's an important thing that some people want to know. And then, of course, it does support all the geodatabases. And the reason we mentioned File and Enterprise is because those are the geodatabases that people have been begging Trimble to support with the older GPS Analyst. So some of your options for deployment and integration, you can use off-the-shelf ArcPad, off-the-shelf ArcGIS Mobile, and the Mobile Project Center and the Trimble Positions desktop add-in. So when you go to Trimble's website and you decide to make this transition from GPS Correct and GPS Analyst to Trimble Positions, you're going to be able to download the entire Trimble Positions suite of software. And it will really include the desktop add-in and the Mobile Project Center, and then you have to individually download whichever extension you're using depending on your field software. You can also get a custom application. If you've made your own custom applications in ArcGIS Mobile, then you can use the Trimble Positions toolkit, which allows you to then add that same functionality to your custom application. So here are the current supported platforms and technologies. It obviously supports ArcPad 10, and there's an asterisk there which is important to take note of. At the bottom of the slide, you'll see that ArcPad 10 even though it will run in a Windows desktop, like in Windows 7 or Windows Vista, there is not a Trimble Positions extension that will run in Windows 7 or Windows Vista. So currently, Trimble Positions supports ArcPad only when it's run in a Windows mobile device, like a handheld unit. ArcGIS Desktop 10.1, you can use the standard or advanced editions, which will be supported by Trimble Positions. That's the current position of ArcGIS Windows Mobile and the Mobile Project Center. And once again, it supports the personal, the file, or the enterprise geodatabase. So down below on that slide are the current models of Trimble hardware that you can use Trimble Positions with. Obviously, the new GeoExplorer 6000, which has been out now for about 18 months, the new Geo 5, even the older Geo 3000, and this does, by the way, include the Geo 2008 series, because for all practical purposes, the 2008 and the 3000 are exactly the same unit. Position supports the new Juno 5B, 5D, even the older 3B, 3D, and the really old SB, SC, and SD handhelds. So basically all the Junos are supported, no matter how old. They don't support the Juno ST, but that's been discontinued quite a few years ago. The new Pro Series receivers, which are the standalone GPS receivers, the 6T, the 6H, they also are supported by the Pro XT and Pro XH, which have both been discontinued now. But Positions also supports the Pro XRT, which is still a current receiver. And then, of course, the Nomad 900 series, which are still current in the Trimble offering. The licensing is pretty interesting. Many of you will notice that the licensing hasn't changed that much. Trimble Positions desktop add-in can be a locked license, meaning a single-use computer, or it can be a floating license, just like always. In other words, a license manager comes with the Positions desktop add-in. Trimble Positions Mobile is going to be locked into a single device, or that can be a floating license. And that's quite interesting because typically mobile software is tied to the mobile device. But in this particular case, the Trimble Positions mobile extension can be moved from one device to another. So that's kind of a breakthrough in mobile licensing. And then finally, Trimble Positions ArcPad extension is obviously locked into that particular mobile device. And then once again, you can see the floating license is now supported by the desktop add-in and the Trimble Positions Mobile. We encourage everyone who's interested in trying this software out to request a customer evaluation license. As trainers and as resellers for Trimble products and software, we have the ability to issue a 14-day license for all the position software. So we encourage you to, if you do request this, to make sure that you do have the time set aside to actually evaluate the software during this trial period. And it gives you an opportunity to take a look at the workflow and the functionality of the mobile and the desktop software prior to making any purchasing commitments. And of course, during that time, we provide that free technical support that you've come to rely on to help you get through certain issues. So here's a little flow chart that you can take a quick look at. If you've moved to ArcGIS 10.1, and this is really the main thing that causes this cascading requirement to move to Trimble Positions, you can use either ArcGIS Mobile in the field or ArcPad. You're going to have a Trimble Positions extension for each one of those. There's one for ArcPad, there's a different one for mobile. And then in either case, you're going to need the Trimble Positions desktop add-in on your PC or on your server. So that's pretty common. However, there's another way to go. If you're still using ArcGIS 10, then you can use ArcPad. You can still use the Trimble Positions ArcPad extension if you wish, but if you do that, you must then apply those corrections or your post-processing using Trimble GPS Pathfinder Office. And I know that some of you out there, instead of using the older GPS Analyst to do processing in ArcMap, you're actually still using Trimble GPS Pathfinder Office. And that's certainly a great way to go. But this allows you to move to positions to some extent, at least in the mobile device, as long as you're using Pathfinder Office to process your data. And you can stay with ArcGIS 10. Okay, so the conversion, by the way, I should mention this, the conversion is free. So if you have GPS Analyst currently and your software maintenance is current, you can get the Trimble Positions Desktop add-in, which includes that and the Positions Mobile Project Center, free of charge. If you have mobile devices that have GPS Correct installed, and if your GPS Correct license or your software maintenance is current, you also get the Trimble Positions extension for ArcPad, free of charge. So there is no cost to move to these new systems as long as you've kept your software maintenance current. Now, if it isn't current, nothing to worry about. You can pay the update fee to get them current, and then you can get the free conversion to Positions. So if you're an ArcPad 10 user and you want to start using the new Trimble hardware, in this case the Juno 5 or the Go5T, then you do have to move to Positions for those 2 units specifically. You can then convert your GPS Analyst to Positions Desktop. If you're an ArcPad 10 user, but you'd like to give up on ArcPad 10 and move to ArcGIS Mobile, which, by the way, is a much simpler and easier software to use, then you would be going from GPS Correct to Positions Mobile, and then, of course, to Positions Desktop in the office. So hopefully that makes some sense. Here's our final polling question. If you take a few moments to answer this one, this is, are you using Pathfinder Office to post-process your data collected with ArcPad and GPS Correct? So this is a simple one, just a yes or no. So for those people saying no, that means you are either not post-processing data or you're still using Pathfinder Office. For those folks saying yes, of course you are. So give you just a few more seconds here. Okay, we'll close this poll and share it with everyone so you can see the results. Looks like most of you are not, which makes a lot of sense. We sort of recommend, I mean, depending on your situation, as resellers, we sort of recommend that if you're using ArcPad and GPS Correct or Positions, it's really a lot easier in many cases to use the extension for ArcGIS and do your post-processing in ArcMap. It just seems to be a smoother data flow. Okay, let's hide this and move on to the next slide. We're almost done here. This is normally the slide that we show you, which will announce the next webinar on Trimble Positions. Currently, we do not have one scheduled, but we're planning on doing more of these webinars starting in the late summer, early fall. We find that people have a hard time attending these webinars during the height of the field season, so we'll be doing this again. So finally, in just a few seconds, I'll be unmuting everybody, and I would like you to ask any questions. If there's something that I can't answer, I'll be happy to get the answer for you, and we'll definitely get back to you by telephone. So let me unmute everybody here for just a second. So do we have any questions? Okay, I guess there's no questions. You've got my contact information there. So you got my phone number and email address. Please feel free to contact me if you have any, and we'll be more than happy to help. And then don't forget about our offer of the 14-day licenses to actually test this workflow out. at your own convenience. So thanks for attending, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.